Look, let's cut to the chase. This has got to stay between us. I was tied up. Couldn't move. Killed right before my eyes.
It's been deemed a suicide.
I'm not buying it.
Kate, you'll start as detective under Bowden. 30-day trial.
I'm going to find out the truth and everything that happened to him.
If you do, you'll uncover things about your past, Katie. It's not safe.
If someone was after your dad, they may be after you too.
There's a lot you don't know.
I want you to wear this necklace, Katie.
It's dark, it's twisted, Katie.
They're saying they're all illegal.
Kids, let me show you. I believe you.
Hello, my fellow TV enthusiasts. Troy Heinrichs here. I'm one of the hosts of the Blacklist Exposed, along with my co-host Aaron Peterson, who also runs The Hollywood Outsider. That's at thehollywoodoutsider.com. Aaron and I were privileged recently to be able to attend the premiere pilot screening of a TV series called Conrad. That was some of the openings of the trailer that you heard there just a moment ago. And we're so excited to be here tonight to tell you all about what Conrad is. And it starts out with just an amazing story. Ryan Atkins and Jennifer Karum are the two co-creators of this series, and they have put their heart, soul into making this a reality. They're kind of doing it in a backwards way, where most times the studios will greenlight a pilot and then you'll shoot the pilot. What they've done is actually put all of their friends, all their family, all of their money together to create an actual pilot episode of this series that Aaron and I were able to see just the other day. In this podcast tonight, you're going to basically get a few interviews from the cast. You'll get interviews from Ryan, from Jennifer. Eric Roberts is in this show. You'll get an interview from him. Harry Lennox of Blacklist fame and a few other things. He'll be here, as well as Hisham Tafweek, who plays Dembe in the Blacklist. He'll be here as well to give you some insights into this TV show, Conrad, which hopefully will be coming to a streaming service or a Big Four network very soon if we can make it all happen. And that comes to all of you. So what I'd love you to do as you're listening to this podcast, go check out ConradSeries.com. That's ConradSeries.com. And that will give you all the information about Conrad. It's a TV show about a female detective named Katy Conrad, who is the daughter of police chief or a captain of a precinct. His name is Michael Conrad, and they're literally involved in some deep mystery that we don't know about, right? Because it's just the pilot at this point. But the show centers around human trafficking and a lot of other things that we see in the news today. And Don Brewer is one of those detectives, played by Harry Lennox, who just, he seems like he's a good guy, but you just can't tell for sure. And as the pilot plays out, well, I can't tell you. I might as well just let these guys tell you for themselves. But Conrad is a very interesting female-led detective story with a lot of great characters, a lot of great heart, and I hope that many of you get a chance to check out the Conrad series at some point in time. But again, I need your help, so go to ConradSeries.com, at Conrad Series on all the socials. Get the word out there, and we can hopefully make this into a reality where we can actually see the full show on one of the streaming networks or one of the Big Four, if at all possible. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Aaron Peterson, my co-host, and he is going to lead you through a few interviews. First up, we'll talk to the co-creators themselves, Jennifer Karum and Ryan Atkins, and we'll be back right after this clip.
Some little girls like it? Are you kidding me?
We're supposed to arrest criminals, aren't we?
Not when you're off duty. You think this can get you any closer to being a detective?
I'm just happy to get that asshole closer to a judge and that girl closer to her mom. I thought...
You aren't thinking, Katie. You're reacting. In my precinct, when you're off duty, you are not working. Am I clear?
Yes.
Dismissed.
Thought I wasn't on duty.
Why can't you find a hobby, Katie?
Because my dad never took me fishing.
Well, the Conrad series started with Ryan Atkins, and here is Aaron talking to Ryan about his co-creator status.
I guess co-creator is kind of an interchangeable term, but I would say co-creator of the...
2.5-page creator?
Yeah, the 2.5-page creator, it basically is kind of a two-part thing. Jennifer is the creator of what the story is now, but I originally created something for myself. Several years ago, I was looking for another way to make money, And an actor that I was living with at the time, just a friend of a friend, he recommended that there's a lot of actors who go to casting calls that don't have any demo reel content. There's nothing like bad editing, audio, or camera work to make you look bad, at no fault to the actor's performance. And so he recommended that I charge just for a simple demo reel scene to be created for them. So I did it for a couple people, and I thought, you know what? I want to do that for myself. So I did. I had a small hobby in writing. For the past 4 years, I've been working on this project, but I wrote a scene for myself that I was just finishing a short film called A School Paper based on teenage bullying. So I was taking kind of a long break. But during that break, I was kind of binge watching movies that happen to have strong female characters in them. They were just interesting to me. Salt with Angelina Jolie, and then Gone Girl, the detective on that. So she was interrogating him, and I liked how they took power over their interrogations. Usually it's the man, but we all think it's going to be a man. So I found it to be invigorating and rather unpredictable would be the right word. So I wrote a character that just kind of came to mind that I thought would be interesting. Just kind of every line you kind of peel away a new layer as to what their personality really entails. And so Jennifer read it, and she asked me if there was more to the character. It's not that there wasn't, it just didn't really have anything written down for it. I was hoping people would grab onto it, but not that accentuated. And so we collaborated on the script a little bit, and it became a little more here, a little more there, and then it became a new title, and then it kind of blew up like a weed that you just can't get rid of into what it is today. And so we're about to premiere our reloaded pilot with a lot of different great folks that support what we're doing. Harry Lennox, Eric Roberts, Hisham Tawfiq. We have Andrea Such. It's kind of been a whirlwind and kind of a blur of how things transpired, but everything happens for a reason. I'm a firm believer of that. So
it's been quite a journey for you guys.
It has, yes.
How does it feel to know that now it's finally here? Nerve-wracking or exciting?
Kind of both. It's surreal. I'm relieved it's finally here because it just took an unbelievable amount of work. It's a lot of folks believe that we just have this unlimited bank account. We're funded by the studio with all the staff working it, and those are all misconceptions, let me tell you. None of it's true. Money is all hard-earned, basically from Jennifer. She raises all of it. We put in what we can, but at some points you have to buy food and sleep sometimes, and so you have to have outside investors doing their thing, and so she has worked hard to fundraise money for that. But it's a surreal night, but I'm definitely glad it's here because we owe it to ourselves, but more so we owe it to our audience, cast, crew, the people who have supported us. So.
You were talking about Jennifer, and now she's here.
Hello.
So you want to explain how you came to work with Ryan?
Yeah.
Conrad?
Actually, I had jumped on Facebook to see about auditions in the local area, and I caught sight of an audition for a badass detective and thought to myself, oh my gosh, I want to be the next badass detective, and I was pretty impressed with a lot of shows like The Blacklist, one of my favorite shows, big inspiration for me. Law and Order is another big one, Criminal Minds, and I thought to myself, you know what, I'm doing this. And I went in for that audition and apparently nailed it because he called me back and he asked me to continue, so it worked out.
And explain, either one of you, how you got from 2.5 pages to 60 something.
Well, like I said, it started out just doing those small edits of what was originally called a different title, and then as those small edits became larger and larger, she got a plethora of ideas for kind of a whole new story, and I'm just like, I can keep up with you. Why don't you just take this for yourself and just write something out and see what we can do with it. We never did the demo reel scene. So the lingering joke is I still want to do it, but it was not an easy process because she wasn't really born a screenwriter. She definitely learned a lot of new skills and got a lot of feedback from folks, different actors reading it, stuff like that, but it's turned into being something that I could never imagine. So she did an incredible job with it.
It was kind of, it was out of left field. I've enjoyed writing, and it's something that I've done my whole life. But when I was younger, I used to write scripts because I loved Now and Then, which is a show that Leslie Linka Glatter was the director for, and I've always been a big fan of that show. And so my girlfriends always made fun of me because I always kept writing a summer story for Now and Then. And they were like, you need to be a screenwriter, like you should go to school for it. Well, I went to school for theater because I enjoy acting and performance, but I always had a passion for writing. And when I had talked to Ryan about his script, I had asked him what else he had in the story. And he's like, well, it's 2 pages, so that's the story. I was like, can I write something? And he's like, do you write? I'm like, I can try. He's like, you're welcome to send me something, thinking that I was never going to send him something. Then he opens up his email box the next day, and there's a 70-page script in there that was all over the place with tons of ideas, and he was like, wow.
The next day?
Yeah, I was up that night. I was really inspired, and I just started writing a bunch of thoughts and ideas that had like lines, storylines that we still use today. Now they've been tweaked and a little bit more helmed than they were, but we worked together and we started rewriting scenes and ended up writing 275,000 scripts. A lot of edits, not different
using
scripts.
The sarcasm, but it sure feels that way. So.
Every day there was like, wait, read this one. No, not this one. This one, the subjects. And it expanded, and it's grown to what it is today, and we used a lot of hot topic themes to add value to the story. Garnered a lot of celebrity talent through the themes, my background in sales, and being able to reach out and asking for the right people to join the team. And now we have a big family, and it's pretty exciting. It's hard to see it end until the studios pick us up.
I don't say that. Don't say that word.
Well, no, but it's I mean, with our family, because the next step is going to be the studio. So it's going to be a different team that's going to hopefully be taking on our team, and we're going to have an even bigger team. But it'll be exciting and different.
And what do you hope happens? Either one of you. What do you hope happens? You have this premiere. It's received well. What do you hope happens from April forward? How does it work?
Personally, we want to see the future of the show on, say, like a Netflix, Hulu, Apple Plus. The biggest goal for us is to continue seeing this show being produced by a studio and on network TV, and having our team connected to it. So our goal is to continue producing the show and seeing it come to life.
It's almost like if you were to cut up the movie like Inception into like 10-minute episodes, you'd be killing the audience, absolutely killing them, because there's so much story in each and every episode. And I feel that it's essentially the same way for Conrad. There's so many different layers that can be examined and be entertained by the audience. And I would love to see it on a big-time network. And those used to be NBC, CBS, ABC, but now we're looking at the web networks. And web networks they're really amping things up with Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, HBO, things of that nature. I love their production quality. I love their quality control. I love to see it on a platform that can be viewed by millions, to be honest. Do as best as it possibly can. I think it has the potential. I think it has a lot of things that audiences will find very interesting that is not out there right now. So that's my hope for it.
And how do you play a badass cop?
There was a ton of research, especially in the writing. I spoke
to police procedure, and that's what you're doing?
Yeah, so we hired a forensics. We hired someone on forensics, and we hired some police officers. We actually have some police officers and former PIs who have joined our cast. And so they've been able to give us perspective, research online, going to police departments, talking to them. I visited an actual morgue at a hospital. I went to the Cook County morgue. I spoke to coroners. We worked with funeral homes, so we spoke to the funeral director. So a lot of communications and conversations. But we had a lot of people on our team who came with that experience, who were able to give us the mechanics of how to hold certain things, how to go about doing certain things. So it truly helped mold the character and the initiatives.
There's a creative freedom that is always in every single story, and like kind of revolves around fact versus fiction. And the news is generally all fact. This murder did happen, this burglary did happen. You turn it on, it's just the news for the day. With a story, the idea is to encapsulate your audience into a different world. That's why you turn on a TV show or put on a movie. And so it's a fine line between creating a story that has absolutely nothing that could possibly happen ever and something where it could possibly happen. And that's what keeps you engaged. And if I had to think of any film that I've read where it was so hard for the audience to watch, one that comes to mind is Saving Private Ryan. It doesn't have much of a plot. It doesn't. But it's the journey to getting there, and it's creating the world of World War II. And a lot of those veterans had to walk out of the theater. They couldn't do it because it was so real what was happening in that film. And they did a lot of research on how the guns would go off, people would do all kinds of different things. And I think the research that Jen put in was not to how exactly would this happen. Now, granted, Kate would have been arrested within 2 seconds of being on this force. None of this could ever happen. You don't watch television to see what is actually happening because it's boring. So you need to connect with characters that can do more than what we can do. We want to be escape to a different world, and so we did the research to, not we, but mostly her. She did the research to be as real as possible by still carrying on that story. What would be interesting, and how do we stand on the envelope of as real as possible, but still delivering that fantasy of what we all want to keep on watching.
What can people do, people that are listening, what can they do to help?
Well, we have a website, ConradSeries.com. Our social media handles on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram are all Conrad Series. Follow those profiles. Comment on what we're doing. Have a conversation with us.
Piggyback on that.
Share the trailer that we debuted something like a week ago, which is on our website. So
the biggest thing is getting the buzz around. This is a hot show, and this is a hot topic. I mean, it touches on human trafficking. It touches on immigration, women empowerment. And, similar to the Blacklist, one of the things that it really has is that edgy, continued twist of answers not being answered to where you think you have the answer and you don't have the answer. And it does have to do with a father and daughter relationship in the beginning, and then it kind of evolves into more of a story of the history of the characters, and it's really eye-opening. And I think that the more that people are talking about the show, they're following the show on social media, they're connected to these characters. Because we really want you guys to learn the characters. And I think tonight it's going to be great because you're going to meet some of our characters and you're going to connect with some of those characters. You're going to want to be friends with them. Or maybe you won't. Maybe you're afraid of them. You never know. But I think it's important for us to be aware of the show's topics and how to get the message out there and connect it to Conrad because our show is getting the message out there.
Jennifer and Ryan are some of the nicest people in the world. Definitely go out to ConradSeries.com, at Conrad Series on all of the socials, and spread the word. Now, we had a chance to sit down with Michael Conrad himself, Mr. Eric Roberts. Hope you enjoy this interview.
One question I have for you before we talk about Conrad is, I was looking at your IMDb credits, and everybody talks about Sam Jackson, the hardest working man in show business, blah, blah, blah. You've got over 560
I lost
credits.
count at 75.
What does that feel like for you as an actor?
I'm going to tell you a little story.
Okay.
In 1993, my wife and I had been kissing for several years, but we'd only been married a year. And my wife says to me, if you could do anything every day, Eric, what would it be? I said, I'd be on a movie set every day. She said, well, that's not going to happen. Then 2003 comes, and she goes, you know what's funny? Everybody can afford a camera now, and they're buying one all over the world, and they're calling for you all over the world, and they all want you next week. So I said, well, let's go exploit this. So we started. I probably say yes to 1 in 10 offers, and we've worked pretty much every day since HD killed our medium.
Any particular favorite of all that you can remember at this point? There's so many.
I've got a few favorites. Let me show you some old favorites. New favorites. I like King of the Gypsy, Star 80, Runaway Train, Public Grand Trilogy, It's My Party, Love is a Gun, Purgatory, Sam Shepard. That's last time I worked with Sam. Love Sam Shepard with all my heart.
He's a great actor.
And let me see what else. I would have to see a list.
You've got quite a list.
Yeah, I'd have to see it.
It's long. Well, let me ask you about Conrad. What brought you to this set?
It was just a nice script. I get offers all day, every day, and I have two readers who read everything. I make sure everything goes read. I don't leave anything unread. But this stood out. Well, one of my readers said, "Eric, you want to read this?" So I did, and then I was told they were interested in me for the dad part. So I said, "Cool," and I said yes. And then I met this wonderful woman who is really, all bullshit aside, she's a really cool chick. And I have a great time knowing her and working with her. And we made something that I think is kind of good for television.
So obviously, I haven't screened it, so I don't know what happens with your character or anything else. Are you hoping for a long-term commitment on this?
I don't hope for anything because I don't expect anything. If it works, great. But I've been in show business now. I made my first movie 41 years ago. So I've been up and I've been down and I've been in the middle. So I expect nothing and love everything that I get.
What do you love particularly about this part?
This part was classy, crisp, and I was in and out.
That's a clean answer, too.
Yeah.
In terms of, we've seen a chief of police played many, many different ways. What do you like about this particular chief? That's different from the myriad of police chiefs.
There's nothing unique about this guy he's not a unique human character like, say, Love Is a Gun is, but he's just a solid mensch who gets.
Don't tell me that.
Well, this will only show after the opening. So
okay, all right. Well, I'm going to pretend like I didn't hear any of that. Stop telling me about it. I don't want to know. How this project has a long gestating development process. At what point are you brought in when they've got everything ready to go, or were you brought in pretty early on?
You'll have to ask somebody who knows. I know this. It was a young project when they got me on board, so I was probably an early choice.
And what about Jennifer was appealing to you? Because you mentioned her earlier.
Jennifer just is a complete human. She's just a fantastic person. And she cares about stuff that should be cared about. She's a little bit of an instinctive genius. Yeah, she's gifted.
And she's put a lot of her heart and soul into this.
Oh, her life. Are you kidding?
Which I'm sure bleeds through to you as well.
It makes it special. Yeah.
All right. Anything you want to ask?
Big thing, Eric, was you worked in a movie with a friend of mine, Kevin Sizemore.
Love Kevin.
He's such a great guy.
Great guy.
But I really loved your work in Heroes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I swear, when we see you in movies, you're probably one of the best villains on TV
Thank you,
movies.
Thank you.
What is it that you channel to make yourself the villain that we see on screen?
Here's the thing about playing bad guys. Bad guys do not believe they're bad. Bad guys think they're the best thing since sliced bread. Mm-hmm. Okay? So you have to play a guy who loves himself and loves what he does not think it's wrong. He's not a bad guy to himself. He's only a bad guy to somebody watching. That's how you play a bad guy. He's not a guy who thinks he's bad. No.
Have you ever thought he was bad? You ever played one and you said, man, I don't know how I'm buying this one.
I don't know.
I don't know. It was worth a shot. It was worth a shot. Well, tell me a little bit about what you have coming up outside of Conrad.
Do you know imdb.com?
Yes, I do.
That can tell you about me better than I can tell you about me. Because they change titles on me all the time and change locations. I don't know what's where unless I have it in front of me as a script. You know what I'm saying by that? Mm-hmm. So they say, what about ABC? ABC was called EEQ last week, so I think so I get confused. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But, so...
All right, well, let me ask you this.
IMDb can help better than I can.
You have a fluidity to the way you perform. A lot of actors talk about process and whatnot. You have a very natural, fluid motion to everything you do.
Thank
everything
you so
I've ever
much,
seen
pal.
you in. Is it something that you've worked on, or is it just natural instincts for you?
Actors are like athletes. Athletes are they're born athletic, but they have to train it. Actors are born actors, but they have to train it. You can't just act off the cuff. You can once, and that's whatever that is. But then you only either repeat it, so you're doing it over and over again, or you learn how to really act. And it's a bit of a trick, and you have to almost fool yourself as much as you fool the audience to be in it, which is borderline mental illness. But it's a lot of fun, dude. And I've seen the world for free, and I have a wife I trust. I got it made as far as I'm concerned. And I have seen the planet. I have the best job on the planet, and I know that.
That's true. I mean, you've been in movies all over the world.
Yeah.
What's the most appealing location, then, for you?
Well, there are locations that are appealing for lots of reasons. Like I love Rome, I love Paris, I love London, I love New York. Big cities, they're great. But I also love Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. It's a little fishing village. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons to love places. So I have all kinds. I love probably 20 places best. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Are those the ones where if they call you and say we've got a job there, you're like, I like that one better than the other 9?
That's happened. That's happened where I go, we're going there for the location, wife. Here we go.
Do you take her with you often?
I take her with her. My wife has a lot of clients, and they're big famous people. So she can't always go. But now she's probably slowed down traveling with me a lot, and she's still with me at least half the time. So what else?
Does that ever get tiring? Getting your picture taken every 15 seconds?
Yeah, because sometimes you're not thinking. Yeah, it gets old.
You're talking about the internet. That is a very real problem for actors nowadays. Do you feel like you have to watch every word you say?
I thank God I've had a happy marriage for almost 30 years. Because if I hadn't been nailed down and happy about it, I'd probably, Great guys are getting bad press for minor bad behavior. I mean, and yeah, the Me Too movement is righteous and overdue. But let's be smart. A lot of guys need training. Train them, don't arrest them. You know what I mean?
And give them a chance.
Yeah. Train them.
Give them a chance. Yeah.
And tell them how to act. Don't arrest them.
So you've played, I don't want to say every character, but almost every character that probably exists at this point. What is your, do you love villains the most? I mean, what do you really, when you sink your teeth into it, you're like, I just like being that guy?
Here's the thing. Would you rather be, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, so let's be careful here. But would you rather be Charles Bronson or Kevin Kline as an actor with movies behind you, as far as roles that are fun to play? Whose career would you rather have? Kevin, who did I say?
Kevin Kline?
No.
Or Charles Bronson?
Charles Bronson and Kevin, not Kevin Kline.
I thought you said Kevin Kline.
Kevin Costner.
Costner.
Who would you rather be? Kevin Costner or Charles Bronson?
You just changed my whole mindset.
As a career. Who would you rather be? Kevin Costner doesn't play bad guys.
Yeah.
Charles Bronson did sometimes. Charles Bronson had a lot more fun, I think.
Yeah, I would probably want to be Bronson.
I love Kevin Costner. He's a great actor.
Before it was popular.
But he plays good guys, and I don't. But I like the Charles Bronson career because it's long. It's not just good guys.
You've had a fantastic career.
All bullshit aside, yeah. I'm the luckiest guy I've ever met.
You've met a lot of famous people, so that's pretty good. That's saying a lot.
Harry Lennox is the coolest cat I maybe have ever worked with. Polite, smart, and brilliant. Too tall for my taste, but I think I'm being thrown out of the chair.
Hey, it's been wonderful talking to you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for coming by.
Such a great guy, and so awesome for him to come on the Conrad show and make this happen. Eric Roberts, you're a genius and a scholar and just a film legend, and so great to have you here. And we are just going to keep going with the interviews. We're going to talk to the coolest cat around, according to Eric. Yes, Don Brewer himself, Mr. Harry Lennox, joins Aaron from the red carpet.
We're here with Harry Lennox, Mr. Harold Cooper. What's going on?
Well, this is sort of interesting. They had that Spider-Man movie where there was a sort of dark side of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name.
Spider-Man 3.
Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
With Tobey Maguire, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. So this character that I play, Don Brewer, is the dark side of Harold Cooper.
I was wondering where this was going.
He was like, where's this going to go? Yeah, so I'm a kind of crooked, guy, whereas Cooper seems to be...
You're crooked?
Well, in this?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, or at least shady. I'm suspicious, so to speak. That is, I can be viewed with suspicion.
Yeah, gotcha.
I can be viewed with skepticism. It is extremely likely that I did something untoward that involved Conrad and her father, Michael Conrad. So, yeah.
And before we get into the Conrad itself, I got to tell you, we were talking to Eric Roberts.
Yes.
And he said, and I quote, that Harry Lennox is the coolest cat I've ever worked with. This is a guy with 500 and something credits to his name.
I believe it's more like 750 or so. I was telling people, I was telling my wife. My wife met Eric Roberts tonight, my wife Gina, and she was like, I know I've seen him and I've enjoyed him. She's not in the industry at all.
Well, he's in everything.
And he's in everything. And I said, this is one of the greatest actors in the world, and that's the fact.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the truth. When I was studying to be an actor, I think I might have been a freshman or sophomore in college. I saw Star 80, which was
great movie.
Last directorial, yes.
Yep.
The last directorial effort, I believe, of the great Chicago director, dancer, choreographer, the great Bob Fosse. And Bob Fosse would tell Eric, of course, this is me if I had failed, playing the character that he played. But I wanted to do that when I saw him in that performance. Of the new generation of actors at that time, having looked at Brando, Burton, Olivier, all of those guys in the old time, De Niro, Pacino, Duvall, all of that generation, Hackman with whom I worked, the sort of next guard of that was Eric Roberts for me, Mickey Rourke, those guys. But to me, it was Eric Roberts because I found his work shockingly surprising. He was always shocking me. He was always doing something that was endearing, something that was appalling, something, and it was all contained within a phrase or gesture. So I think he is in many, many, many ways a perfect actor. So if he says I'm a cool cat, I'm good with that.
That's awesome. What brought you to Conrad? How did you get involved with this project? I mean, because you're a man of many talents. You've been in a lot of things yourself.
Yes, I have been in many things. When you're a Chicagoan, we have a motto is that we're the city that works, and I always took that to heart. When I was in the seminary studying to be a priest, our motto was the old Dominican prayer, ora et labora, which means prayer and work, labor and work. And so I like to work. And I saw this effort and this enthusiasm by this young woman by the name of Jennifer Karum, and she was determined to get this done. And somehow through a mutual connection on Facebook, she found me and I found her, and she asked me if I'd be willing to come, and of course I was willing to come. I've been back here a couple of times now on behalf of this. I think that they are the little engine that could. I think there's enough platforms that are being developed that are perhaps not even already in existence, but perhaps already in existence, where this would find a great home. And I think it's a fascinating story, and she is a true inspiration to me.
She was telling us about her story and how they've kind of willed this thing to happen, her and Ryan.
Yes.
I mean, and we were talking, we watch a lot of TV. We're obviously not in the business, but we know how TV usually works. And they're going a completely different route. They're doing the pilot themselves. They're trying to shop it. They're trying to sell it. Is that unique for you? I mean, as a guy who knows how the industry works, is that unique for you to even hear about?
It is unique. You think that in this age of less money and so more, and less cost of production, that is, not less money, but less cost of production, that there would be a proliferation of people who have the moxie, the guts to go out there and put their money where their mouth is and so forth. But you'd be shocked at how little of it there is. But she actually went out, she's recruited, she's gone out and found people who are great at what they do. She's got an editor from Los Angeles. She's got Hisham Tawfiq, one of my heroes, who was a Marine and a fireman and on 9/11 and so forth. And he's here and I'm here. And we're all here because of this effort and this enthusiasm.
Harry, thanks for coming by. Sir, we got to let you go because you've got a lot of work to do.
Of course. This
is,
thing. But I'm so glad to be able to see you gentlemen again.
I'm glad you came.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you were going to be here or not. Yeah, so that's pretty fantastic.
I'm here. Hisham is here too. I hope you get a chance to talk to him.
We talked to him for like 25 minutes. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, they're out. Thanks for coming by.
Great to see you. Thank you.
Harry's such a great Chicagoan, a city that works, and many people have put a lot of hours into the Conrad series. So great for him to be part of the show, and so good for him to be able to call up Hisham Tawfiq. Yes, he plays Officer Dan Knack on the series, and Hisham was nice enough to sit down with us and give us a little bit of insight into Conrad, as well as even tease some stuff coming up on the Blacklist in the second half of Season 7.
Well, tell us about how you came to be involved in this project.
Well, that's very simple. Harry, I think, reached out to me and was like, hey, I'm doing this project. It's pretty cool. I know the people. They want to reach out to you and offer you a role. And I was like, Harry's been like a mentor for me on the Blacklist. I trust him, respect him tremendously. So I was like, hey, whatever you say, Harry. So it was pretty simple. I mean, I got on the phone with Jennifer and the team after that, but Harry was kind of the, he kind of opened the door for the conversations.
And what about this project got you excited?
Anything.
I mean, you don't even know what it's about, apparently. I don't know.
I mean, I have like this general overview. I know it's about child trafficking. I know it's about women empowerment, and I just know I was playing an officer who somehow helps the kid, who's with the main character. I think I didn't even read the whole script. I still haven't. I think I've only read the 2 scenes that I'm in. So I have very limited knowledge. I just went off of Harry.
Who is Eric Roberts called the coolest cat he's ever known.
Well, you guys can verify that and validate that also. Harry's just... Actually, the interesting thing is I only see Harry riled up on the Blacklist, like when he's delegating orders. Other than that, every time you see Harry, he's cool and chill and laid back.
He's just the nicest guy.
Yeah.
You, let me ask you, because you're playing a part that's the other side of the law here, does that make a difference for you? Does it feel any different, or do you feel...
Well, here's the interesting thing. The funny thing is, before Blacklist, I was playing like police officers and firemen. And it wasn't until Blacklist that I started playing like on the other side of the law. So it felt good to put a uniform back on and, have, police on the jacket and stuff like that. So it's not that far-fetched. Not too hard to get back in the role of a cop.
That's fair. It's been a while, though. I mean, it's been a minute.
It has been, but I think probably what helped me is my 20 years of being in uniform.
Yeah.
So just the funny thing is, the first thing I thought about when I put on the uniform was my time as a correction officer. Just having the gun belt and the nightstick and the flashlight, and it was like automatic to where you rest your hands with all that gear on. So all of that kind of came back to me as soon as I put the uniform on.
Let me ask you a question because you bring that up. You're one of the few actors who actually has been in uniform of some sort for many, many years, various uniforms. Is it more important to you that the parts that you play that have a uniform on are more true to those guys, or not so much because it's all fiction in the scheme of things?
Great question, because lately I've been thinking about like my wife would say, what are the roots of your spirit? Like, what is your purpose? And I find myself, always gravitated to doing things of service. Firefighter, Marines, corrections. I keep thinking about what would I do after Blacklist, or what would I do, I don't want to say after acting, but I think I have a bigger calling. So I've been struggling, or not struggling, just really thinking about what that is, because I know I want to do something in service to others. And I've had all these different ideas about a snowboard camp for kids, or now I'm really into golf, or I just came back from Ghana in Africa and I saw what it did for my son. So I know what it would do for a lot of other kids who don't have the opportunity of leaving their borough, much less their state or country. But I say all of that to say that, yes, I think playing a role of someone who is of service is special to me, important to me, and especially if it's not, if it breaks away a little bit from the stereotype. You know what I mean? If we really get into what motivates that person to actually do that work. I think, not to say that this role does that. I don't know what the arc is. But you asking that question and me thinking about just what my purpose is, I would think I would love to do roles where a person is doing that, but we also show why he's motivated to do that. Like, we always see these cops and these people going out saving people, or the task force, they're doing these things. Why are people doing that? Like, you're really, we say these are heroes, they're brave, but there's a motor, there's an engine that runs in those type of people that makes them want to do those things. And if they're not doing that, then they really feel like they don't feel fulfilled. And I know I can say that about myself. I don't feel fulfilled unless I'm helping other people.
That's beautiful. What made you want to tell us about your trip? I don't know if it's a personal thing.
No. So, funny story was, I've been in many parts of Africa. I've been, Saudi Arabia. I lived in Mecca for a while. I've been to Marrakesh in Morocco. I've been to Cameroon. And when I did my ancestry years ago, Ghana came back as being highest on the percentage. Originally, my wife was like, hey, Dembe has a huge following in Africa just because of his character. And I was like, yeah, I do know that. And I could tell from social media by seeing that. So originally, my wife and I were planning a trip to go to Ghana, just like come with Hisham or come with Dembe to Ghana.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Right?
Yeah.
But when we started it too late. So then she said, every Christmas I usually go with her to Vancouver to see her family and get my snowboarding in. So this Christmas she said, why don't you take your son and just do a father-son trip? And it's always weird because my son's birthday is on Christmas Eve, and I only get 2 weeks off that Christmas vacation, and I'm usually with my wife visiting her family. And my son's at that age where he was like, he don't want to hang out with me anyway. Just give him money and a gift for his birthday.
How old is he?
21.
Yeah, that's the right age, yeah.
So I was like, hey, you know what? That's a great idea. Let me take my son. Because he was also at that age where he was struggling with, what's his purpose? Who is he? What should he do?
Right.
So I was like, you know what? That's a great idea. So that was the genesis of it. And when I took him there, it was life-changing for him. And another reason I did it is because I remember my father took me to Saudi Arabia when I was 12. And I didn't know then, but I know now how much, my father always said traveling is where you get your most knowledge. That's where he was like, you're not going to school, travel the world. You'll just learn so much. And when I think about it, like just that year that I spent in Saudi Arabia, I just learned a lot. And it's a great conversational piece when I was snowboarding in Maine last week, and I met a guy who was in Saudi Arabia for 18 months. Like, how could that happen? And we're talking and snowboarding for the next 2 days. But I just know how much traveling and the experience that my father gave me, so it was kind of like passing the torch to my son, and it was probably one of the best trips I've had in my life.
That's amazing. Sincerely. Well, thanks for sharing that. Well, tell us anything you can tell us about Blacklist. They want to know.
Oh, man.
So if you could just tell us how the season ends, so these guys will get off.
Well, look, before I even speak about that, here's the funny thing, and I'm so upset I didn't get a picture. And if you ever see her, you can ask her. So we're filming, right? And we had like an hour break, and we're in downtown Brooklyn somewhere, and we're in this luxury building, and they have a pool table. So we start playing pool, right? So the first game she wins. Second game, I racked the table, scratched the 8-ball. Right?
That means she wins again.
Third game, I think she wins. Whatever happened, like we're tied up, right? And then the last game, I do the same thing. Clean the whole thing, scratch the 8-ball. But that was my first time meeting her, and like she plays this like character, but she's such a sweetheart, man. We had a great time. I love her on that new show. Is it called The Boys? Have you watched that?
Yeah. That's a great show.
I love her on that show. But it was just so funny. I was like, if people see me playing pool with Katarina, they'll be like, I was like, I wish I had a photographer to catch these shots. But we had a great time playing pool. But what was your question?
What can you tease our listeners with?
So, what's crazy is I just read a script, and I just read it. That's what I was doing the last hour and a half, reading this script, and they it's insane. It's really insane.
And that's coming up then? So
No, it's not coming up. So we finished on that. I want to say, was that 8 or 9?
10. I think it was 10, right? 10. That was 10. Yeah, that was 10.
Okay. I don't know if I can give you the episode number.
Don't do that. I don't want you to get in trouble.
Well, all I'm going to say is that Katarina, they did a good job. They did a good job. They did a really good job. But there's it's a lot of good stuff coming up. There's a lot of, back in the old days, season 1 was very bloody and gory and all of that. I would say there's a couple of episodes like that. It's cool. It's a lot of good stuff coming
Can I ask you a question I always want to ask people that are in your position?
Uh-huh.
Do you hate when people ask what's coming up because you can't say anything and everybody knows you can't say anything?
No. You know what I hate? Which I got all the time in Ghana?
What's that?
And I shouldn't say this because then everybody's going to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway.
We'll take it out if you want us to take it out.
Where's Red? What are you doing here? You're supposed to be with Red. No matter where I am, I'm like, I can't be on vacation. I can't be relaxing.
They think you're real?
Sorry?
They think it's real? They think you're really Dembe?
Yeah. Anytime they see me, where's Red? I'm like, oh, my God. That's the number one question. Not what's coming up next. Where's Red? I should make a T-shirt out of that.
You don't even dress like Dembe. You don't even dress like Dembe.
I know. This happened in Ghana. Like, I'm just out.
Are you wearing a Panthers hat? You're wearing a...
I'm hanging out, and that's the first thing they say. Where's Red? That's all I get. Not how you doing. I like the show.
Big fan.
Where's Red? Why are you not with him? That's it.
You should just start telling him crazy stuff. Like, he got shot again. He's dead again. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the number one question.
Didn't you hear? He's not on the show anymore.
I should. You know what? I'm gonna do
You
that.
should do that.
I'm gonna do that one. I'm gonna put that
cry.
one in the memory bank. Yeah, he died last episode. You didn't see that one? No.
Oh, I must be ahead of you. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're a season behind. Okay. Yeah,
that's great.
But the next couple of episodes are gonna be nice. They're very. I love the whole Katarina thing that's going on, so I think people are gonna love it.
You like where that's going so far?
I do.
Do you?
I do.
How does it feel being? I mean, 7 seasons now?
Yeah.
Maybe 8. We'll see what happens. But 7 seasons deep, and you weren't going to be there very long to begin with, and now you're like a focal point. I mean, I know maybe your screen time isn't the same as Megan's or whatever, but anytime you're not on screen, we hear, where's Dembe? Where's Dembe?
Yeah.
They're not asking where's Rhett. Where's Dembe?
Well, that's funny. Yeah, that's
So
funny.
how does it feel? I mean,
I was speaking to someone today. Like, every once in a while you get in this moment where, just me as an actor, I'm like, oh man, I want to do something else. I want to do something new. I've been doing this so long, and that's natural. But then at the same time, I remind myself that I'm surrounded by friends. Some who are working, but some who are not working. And I know how hard it is to not only be a series regular on the show, but to have multiple seasons on the show. Like, that's extremely hard. And that's usually the dream of every actor. So even though, it's natural and it's human for me to want and daydream about other projects and do other things, I also always remind myself that I am blessed. And just to ride the history out of this,
And a funny side, I guess it's completely unrelated, but I was watching an interview with Alex O'Loughlin. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's an actor on Hawaii Five-0.
Okay.
They've been doing that show for a very, very, very long time. And somebody was asking him why he's been doing it for so long. Don't you get tired of doing the same part after so many years? And he said, absolutely. But he brought up all the jobs that come from your show, and when you go on for that long, you become family with the crew, you become family with the cast, and they're relying on it too. So I'm sure all of that.
It's funny
comes
because
into
I was
play.
talking to another guy here, and he was talking about how he worked on Empire and how Empire is in its last season, and he said like every episode is like very depressing because people know they're getting closer to the end.
Yeah.
You know, and it is family. I mean, 7 years. I mean, that's a long time, and it's a lot of hours spent on set. You know, you're talking about 12 and 14 hours, 5 days a week for 7 years. That's a lot. So, you know, whenever it does come to a halt, it's going to be emotional. But like I said, I have the love and hate thing with wanting to do something else, but also appreciating the blessing that I have.
You've done other projects. Jen was a great movie.
Yeah, that was a passion project.
Yeah.
I love that. Absolutely. And probably part of the reason why I jumped up and did this. I'm like, you just flashed, hey, I have something over here. I'm going, something new, fresh blood, okay.
Well, we know you got your thing to get to. I don't want to keep you too
I love
much.
talk with you guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say to Blacklist fans that are listening?
Well, stay tuned. I know a couple of people upset, and I don't know why. I guess they haven't really announced what day it's coming back or giving people a heads up or a trailer of what to see or anything like that. But it's going to be well worth it. They're going to really have a blast this ride out to the end of season 7.
I'm pretty excited. See where it goes this year.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
Once again.
All right, that's it for all the interviews tonight. Well, thanks so much, everybody, for listening to this special episode where we talked about Conrad, a new television series that we're hoping gets picked up by the streaming services or the networks. Currently has a pilot shot. You can go ahead and check out all the information on Conrad at conradseries.com. And again, that's Conrad Series everywhere on the socials. Brought to you by Jennifer Karum and Ryan Atkins, starring Eric Roberts, Harry Lennox, Hisham Tawfiq, and a bunch of other people. It's just a great, great show. We got to see the pilot. It's amazing. It's a great story with human trafficking. Definitely spread the word. If you love TV, this is the kind of TV we want to see there on our screens in the next cycle. So make sure you get that out. If you know people in the network world, definitely share this with them, and hopefully we can see Conrad hit the big screen. Until then, I am at Troy Heinrichs on Twitter, and I am Troy Heinrichs, the co-host of The Blacklist Exposed with Aaron Peterson handling the interviews this evening. Definitely check out theblacklistexposed.com. We'll be back March 20th for the rest of season 7 over there. And also check out thehollywoodoutsider.com for more TV and film news, as well as some interesting take on Hollywood from the outside. But we still have the Q&A session. Before we get to the Q&A, let's take one more listen to another scene from Conrad. This is Don Brewer talking to Katy Conrad at a bar where most of the cops hang out.
Well, I've been looking forward to this for a very long time. You know, it's funny. I would have thought you would never become a cop with the rep your dad had.
What rep?
Okay, take a look around here at all these people. You think any one of them knows the real secrets the other has? What they do with their shadow time?
We all wear masks, LT.
But just because someone is kind-hearted, it doesn't mean that they're not capable of violence. My advice, don't trust the nice ones.
What about you?
What about me?
You seem nice. Charming, even. Shouldn't I trust you?
I guess there's an exception to every rule.
You obviously have a very busy life right now, filming The Blacklist, and are playing Don Brewer here in this series. What about this show and the people in this show inspired you with your busy schedule to hop on board?
You know, the motto of Chicago, our motto is the city that works. And I think that's more than just the efficiency of the city. We aren't always that, but we keep trying. We have this effort. And so I met Jennifer through a friend who was in the pilot originally, in Harold Dennis. And somehow through Facebook, this ball of energy and enthusiasm, reached out, and it just seemed to me that there was this passion that was behind this project. Conrad, and I knew that she had great affection for the Blacklist, and she was following Hisham and me and all of this, and so I was immediately attracted to the light. There was this electricity that is like a light, and I was like a moth drawn into it. So, really being from Chicago, knowing what it is to have a passion for a project, knowing what it is to start something from scratch and to take, we say in the black church a lot, to make a way out of no way. And so this is what was happening here. And so I'm a sucker for love and for energy. And so this is that's what brought me here. And I'm very proud of what we have been able to achieve with them.
You've had Oscar nominations and done amazing things. So what is it about Conrad specifically that attracted you to the project?
Well, at this point in my life and my career, it's all about the peeps. And if the peeps are cool, I'll get on board. And if they aren't, I'll pass.
Okay, my next question is for Sean. Somebody gonna hand the microphone on down. Sean is also a fellow Blacklister, and can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved in this project? What's it been like for you?
Yes, I can't remember if, no, I think Jennifer reached out.
For sure.
And she spoke to me about it, but I think she also mentioned that Harry was on board, and Harry's been like a mentor and a friend to me, so if I knew he was a part of it, then it was a no-brainer that I should be a part of it, so I happily joined. Good for us.
Okay, then I'm going to put that over to Ryan for another question here from the audience. So, when it comes to filming, what were your inspirations during the filming process? How did you keep up with Amazing Broadcast TV? And just tell us a little bit about the filming process and how that was.
So I have a background in film because broadcast TV is largely different. My style was ended up morphing to being what you might see on Netflix or Amazon. I was never really into television at all, and so we shot Conrad much like a film. Television shoots like 9 days. It's a very rigorous schedule, and it's done. You still hit record on the camera. You still have first ADs, first ACs, second ACs. You get all the positions, but it's done in a very accentuated, not accentuated, but sped up schedule.
Abbreviated.
Yeah,
Abbreviated.
basically abbreviated. And so the first version was done quite slowly. So for this, I focused, so Jennifer gave me some references that she really wanted to go off of. And so my inspirations for the more action scenes, I take that from the Warren series, which is from film, but also I take my visual aesthetic from the show Stranger Things, which I love that show, it's on Netflix. I also take it from the Blacklist, which a lot of the story is similar in many different ways. I've actually spoken to one of the director of photography who's from the Blacklist to get his ideas on how he approaches his process, which was a very good experience to have. But I had to transition my brain from film to television, but it was a great learning experience in the way that now I kind of know how that is to be done. So it was kind of a hybrid, but I feel like Conrad is unique in the way that it doesn't completely fit what NBC might output, but I feel that it would set it apart in that light. So how I did pick the angles, I do it just by story. A close-up means something's important. A wide shot means you're introducing something. Same thing with color, camera movement, lack of camera movement, all those good things. It just takes research on how the scene feels. I mean, music, dialogue, and then the camera movement to determine how the scene is going to be brought onto the screen. So it's just a matter of what the script sees, and then what I do from that. So.
Yeah, so one of the things I really wanted to shy away from is that model-esque individual playing the main lead. I think it's important to have someone who is very natural. I think what we want to do is kind of change the way that television is portrayed with the female leading character, right? So, you know, I'm not 5'10", 110 pounds, and really showing that anyone can be successful, anyone can be a badass. You don't have to be small, you don't have to be large, whatever you are, you're acceptable and you have the ability to have that strength and that confidence and that success. So for me, that was part of my inspiration. So we wanted to kind of convey that. And I know, Kelly, you can probably piggyback on some of the ideas that we had, but I think, you know, the tone of the story, just keeping that seriousness.
I think from day one, I kind of had to jump into Jennifer's head. And by like our 5th conversation, we were already into season 3. So seriously, there's so much content and spins and twists to this show that I'm stoked as to where it's going to go. So we had to really translate from being in her head onto paper. And I think that was the biggest challenge. But once we got there, you know, even when we did the reloaded version, I said, let's deepen this. Let's make it dark. I mean, because really that's where human trafficking and you know, the dynamics of where the show, where it was going, I think that's where we needed to take it. Because it's the reality of it. So I think from day one, I kind of have been in her head, and that's where it was so easy for her to pick up and direct the scenes that she directed. We were basically on the same page, so the transition was very easy. But as far as, I just want to say really quick, the hard work that has gone into this, and some of you don't realize that Jennifer, Ryan, and I, we have full-time jobs, aside from doing this. Full-time, I mean, I'm in a ditch sometimes making sure people don't blow up. Just so you know, if you don't know what my other job is. So it's very stringent, it's very stressful, but I love what I do. But we have done this, and they have pulled this off when I wasn't available. And they've done a lot. And I'm so proud. I'm proud of them, and I'm proud of the project. I'm proud of the results. I'm proud of being able to have the elite talent that we have on the stage, and this is because of the tenacity and the determination and enthusiasm and the will to get it done. So just kudos to these guys, and thank you for everyone that's up here for being a part of what we do.
And the subject matter, we're all behind this issue, trafficking. It is not acceptable anywhere for anyone.
So I just want to say there's been a lot of hard work and hours and 3 a.m. text messages and 2 hours of sleep that have really gone into this. And Walt, thank you, because he's the one that got me into this project in the first place.
Hey, Walt.
Very, very, very big talent here, but thank you for everyone that's been involved and have been dedicated. And please don't forget your raffle items, because that goes for everything that we do here. So, next question.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay.
So, well, you have been on since before Conrad became this new reloaded project. How has the project changed for you?
Well, yeah, I've been involved in the project since the very first table read, and since that time, a lot has changed. Characters have evolved, New characters have been added. Exciting new talent has joined the cast. The storyline has evolved into being more relevant for today's headlines. And what that has all done for me as an actor is just given my character more opportunities, and that's, as an actor, that's a good thing.
Okay, so I'm going to actually jump over to Eric again. So Eric, can you tell us if you had a favorite experience on set? If you can narrow it down to the board.
You know, oddly enough, it is the morgue. No, we always play in morgues, and I refuse to be serious on a set because everybody's so intensely serious. And especially in the drama where you're talking about a whole bunch of dead bodies and stuff, you kind of lighten up on the set. So I just played all day on that set, and I'm embarrassed to actually say what we did there, but because we acted like a bunch of crazy children. But we had fun and we were silly, and that was the most fun because you acted like a bunch of kids, and then suddenly and action. And I just love show business. It's so silly and so fun and so serious.
Let me extend on that. So there was a scene, you know, where he's dead. She takes the sheet back. Well, before she does that, and he raises up and goes, "Wah!" to Jen. And it was really, really funny. So, but just,
you would have had to have been there.
No, it was really funny. So to be in a real morgue with all this stuff. And thank you, Joe. There's just so many people that have been involved in this, and I know we're kind of doing the Q&A, but just a special thanks to Sharon and Jay that are there. And many other people who have been involved in this project, but they really, really were significant in helping orchestrate this whole event, and have been very huge in our success. So thank you. But anyway, next question. I'm just gonna say
But the funny thing was, when I was being a dead body, and I suddenly said, "Ah!" It scared her to death.
I'm just going to say one thing. One of the cool experiences is the family environment that the team has truly made. You know, it's pretty amazing to work with people so intimately and so closely, and to really get to know them, and to build that trust, to kind of let your wall down and be your authentic self in a character, and just to really allow yourself to connect with people. It's pretty remarkable. And even though you guys are seeing this today, our goal is to keep moving this and get this on the big screen on television. So it doesn't stop. We're very excited to move this to the next level too.
Oh, I didn't write it.
When you were involved with the project, what's the best part of the finished project?
You know, I only saw the original material I got was just my sides, effectively. And so being able to be here tonight and to sit next to one of the greatest actors in the world, and one of my, and people who are so passionate. You know, Hisham said some very nice things about me, but this is a true American hero. Fireman during 9/11, a Marine during the conflicts of Desert Storm, a true gentleman and a believer, a true believer. So just to be part of this group of people like Kelly, you said something, Kelly said something actually, about these people have other jobs, full-time jobs, and yet their blood, their sweat, their tears, their hearts, their souls have gone into this project to say, look at what we can do when we put our minds together, and to take nothing effectively, or to take the kindness of strangers and to be able to turn it into something that is enjoyable to look at. That's what we do. And so just to be a part of something that has been, that has come to life in this form tonight, I had not seen it. I only saw the trailer. Serge, who came in from LA, who did a tremendous job with the editing of this, with that quick eye. I just think, it's very moving. It's actually, I get emotional thinking about how people who were laughed at, as children, where people say, man, what is it that you do, can come together and put something together that is compelling and that people want to see, that is about something that is important, that gives voice to the people who are voiceless. That is a coming together of spirit, and I think that is the substance of what we do. And so I've been surprised tonight by all of these little disparate pieces of things that have been put together into something that is a cogent whole, and I love and I am proud to be a part of it.
Well, it's quite simple. I hope it runs for about 150 years. And that I'm in it the whole time.
So, as I have a quick question that I would think is so this has gone above and beyond the indie project for all of you. What would you say has been the hardest part in creating this
Time. The balance between family. I think time. Just as I mentioned before, the balance between work life, family, late nights, it's taken a lot of dedication to make this happen. A lot more than people think. And, when you have passion, I think I mentioned this before, I don't ever do anything for money. And in my day job or with this, ever, it's never first, never second, never third, nothing. Because if you wake up every day and you love what you're doing, and you believe in it, and you do it with the kindness of your heart, and you want to really excel others while you're doing it, money comes. It does. Doors open, and it happens. But you have to wake up every day, and this goes for everyone. If you're waking up every day and you hate a job and you're just going to make the donuts, don't do it. You have to love, except for those that make a difference making donuts. But you have to really, truly love what you do. Enjoy it, have passion for it, but you need to make a difference in others' lives. And with this project, I can honestly say that there have been people that have gone on to do other things, have been regulars on shows and all sorts of things, and to me, that's enough. So wake up, love what you do, don't ever just do it for money. Because the end result's not going to be what you expect, and you're going to be disappointed. But if you do it and you love it, doors will open and you will make all the money that you need. So anyway, that's all I have to say.
Piggyback real quick. I come from a very entrepreneurial, I have a very high entrepreneurial spirit, and I get that from my dad, who is sitting in this audience. My dad has worked incredibly hard to build a successful company, and he took risks, and there were nights where he didn't know how it would go, and he was worried about the family, and things happened, and I think that kind of feeling inside that, like, believing it's going to be okay, I'm going to make it happen. I understand that there's no money on the table right now, but I'm going to it's going to get there, and I believe in it. And it's this fire, this genuine fire that I can't put it out. And it's this passion and energy and drive. And I feel like, I'm with people who understand that excitement and drive. And it's incredible what happens when you put that energy together. So.
So you talked a little bit about process has been like for you, and what you would say to others who
Wow. So first and foremost, how it's been for me, it's been very challenging, and I can tell you that it's been challenging for a lot of people around me, because I see things differently, and a lot of people see things a certain way, and they want me to understand it, and it's sometimes hard for me to comprehend it that way. And I think that the understanding on both ends and the give a little, learning to listen has been something that I've had to do, because it was hard. It's always been hard for me to see the perspective that people would say is the right way or the normal way, and I think that was a big struggle for everyone. Even when people were telling me with the script, you need to change this, and well, no, I want it to be, okay, Jenny, we get that, and having to take a step back. And I think that this project has allowed me to learn a lot of skills in the 3 years that we've been doing it from the beginning. And it's hard for me to talk about it because it's embarrassing, but at the same time, I've learned some skills that have allowed me to channel my energy into building something and working with a team. And I would say that for anyone who is struggling, that if you are out there and you believe in something, or there's something you want to do, whether you want to be a painter or you want to be, you want to go to space, whatever it is you want to do, follow your heart. Because everyone in my life said, what are you doing? Like, what do you think, you're going to go to Hollywood and be a celebrity? No, I don't, but maybe. But at the end of the day, I'm doing something I believe in, and I'm doing something that I feel is best for my soul and my health, and I encourage everyone to do that. And the people in this room have said that you've given me opportunities. I was a PA on your show, and now I'm working on Chicago Med because I worked at Conrad for 6 months, and they're now putting me on Chicago Med, and I get to be towards an AD, and now I'm working as a second, and people are getting opportunities. So by fulfilling my own dreams, I was able to help other people fulfill theirs. And it's been this rotation circle of people doing what they believe in and love. And I would just say to keep doing what you believe in, and don't let anyone stop you.
Really quick, because I've been on the project since day one, I've seen the progression. It has been tremendous, and I just want to say, and I'm not just BSing because you guys know me, I just shoot it straight. I am really proud of you because it has been a challenge, and people just say, oh yeah, if you're not around someone that does have autism, even the slightest communication can sometimes be difficult. So you have to have patience. I even had to take a step back and go, oh Lord, I'm going to pull every hair out of her head. Okay, and the Southern girl in me, right? But you know something? I am a mother. I have a son. I had to take a step back and say, you know what? Everyone is human. And I need to consider her feelings and what's going on. And I tell you, I am so proud of her because she listens, and she has come so far within the 3 years that it is unbelievable. And I think that just taking a step back and being considerate of others, because you don't sometimes when you do have autism, but just being considerate and having boundaries and listening, the listening skills, that it's so difficult for people. But you have to have patience, and you have to have love for another human being. And I just wanted to kind of point out the fact that I'm really proud of you. And I think that you've come a long way, and this is very deserving. And I'm telling you right now, if you want to talk about people connecting, she has made this happen.
Make sure you subscribe on all the social media channels. And until then, we'll see you next time. Take care.